what's the principles around which we should be trying to design our icon? Well, we go to creation itself, and if you look at anything from microscopic life right through to the cosmos, there is an order to it. And we read that in the book of Genesis, where it says that the Spirit hovers over chaos and brings order. When we create an icon, which is a sacred space where heaven and earth meet, we want to do so in a way which takes the way God has made the material world and infused it with this divine order, an order brought by the Spirit of God. Mathematics is a wonderful way in which that's explored, and the visual form of mathematics is geometry. And the principles of geometry are that things should all be related to one to the other, that no shape is just a random blob, that it's related to everything else around it, and it finds its significance in its relationship to others. When it comes to making our icons, we should at least show an awareness of those geometric sensitivities that are written into the very fabric of the cosmos, so that when we are creating, we're doing so in a way that resonates with the way God, our Heavenly Father, created in the beginning. So I use geometry, sacred geometry, as a way of opening up the space on which I'm going to design, draw and paint. So the way in which we paint our icons, the way in which we design them and the way in which we make them can really be understood as a priestly act. Humanity stands as this bridge between all of creation and the Creator. The material physical world and the spiritual world. We're at the apex, the meeting point between both. So our role at this special point of meeting between heaven and earth is to take matter and to weave it into something which is glorious, something that is beautiful, something that sings the glory of God. Now, in geometry, you can make something that's actually just repetitive, or you can add interest so that it's relating but different. So each part holds the other and allows it to be interesting. So you might have 1 and 3. So for example, the proportions of this board are 3 to 4. That's balanced but different, and it creates an area that relates to itself in a proportionate way. So I want to explore this a little bit more than just simply dividing things in two. The first thing I'm going to do here in Affinity Designer, I'm going to go to File and I'm going to go to New, and I want 30 by 45 centimeters. 30 by 45 centimeters. Click Create, and here we have the dimensions of the board. However, the thing about this board is that it's carved at the top. So what do we do about that? Well, the easiest way to do this, and it's a little bit approximate, but it saves a lot of hassle. I've taken a photograph of the board. Here we have it. I'm going to drag it in here. Now, as you can see, it's the wrong way round, and there's an excess of photography. So if I go over here to the crop tool, I'm going to bring that down to the very top there. I'm going to bring this down to here, and you can see I'm just touching it in the corner there, and here to about here. Now, as you can see, there's a sort of gap here. There's a little gap along here. We're going to deal with that in a moment. Go to the arrow, collect this again, and let's just rotate this round so that it's nice and square. The problem with this, as I say, is it's a little bit distorted, and we can correct that if we go to File, Edit in Photo. This is Affinity Photo. Go to Filters and go to Distort, and you see it says Perspective. click perspective, and you get these little squares in the corners, and I'm going to just pull those down nice and straighten that up a little bit like that. Apply it. Now I'm going to crop that. To do that, I need to go back into Designer. Sorry. Yes, there we are. And I want to now pull that out to the size of the board. That's like that. Now I'm going to go back into Photo. Going to go back onto Filter, Distort Perspective, and you can see at the bottom here there's a little gap, so I'm going to draw that so that the corner of that board matches the corner of my layout, which I know is exactly the right size. Same thing over here, bring that corner to the bottom like that, and that gives us a pretty good approximation of the actual board that we'll be working on. So, having got the proportions of my board pretty accurately represented on the screen, I'm now going to use some simple geometry to break this area open. And the first shape or geometric pattern I'm going to use is this of circles and squares. And you can see I've got a square with a circle, with a square, with a circle, with a square and a circle, all arranged perfectly one within the other. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. And if I go to the top here, if I expand this a little bit using one of the corner tools so everything's in proportion, just want to set that to that inner arch. I'm going to copy the whole shape again, see if I can. Now I'm going to hold down Command and Shift. So I just Command here now, and there we've got a pretty good map. That wasn't that quick. Notice here the upper square should be slightly bigger. So if I zoom out, take that inner corner, that top corner, and just drag it. And if I see the size of that square is 18.2, actually that's slightly off. So let's make this 18.2. And 18.2. So now everything in there is square and true. This one 25.6, so let's make this 25. Let's make this 25.6 by 25.6. Sometimes when you're dragging things around, you can by hand, it can just get a little bit out of shape. If I zoom in really close, I can see where these are overlapping, and there, that's exactly right, left and right, and we can see a very nice balanced division of the space. So let's see now. I've got my basic design. So I want this figure in the middle with the arms open. So that gives us a nice area at the bottom. So that's quite a nice solid base. and then we've got this column going up here. Now I wonder if we take that middle circle and copy it and paste it. So one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we just put those circles along here like this.
I'm going to experiment by using the model of Saint Apollinary in Classe and seeing how that might fit with this sort of layout. So I have here a copy of the figure from the bottom of that mosaic, and I've dragged this slightly, and you can see it should be a bit wider, like that, but then the hands might be just a bit too wide. So, but by narrowing that so that the hands on either side, yeah, that's quite a nice, neat. Now I'd have to extend this down to make those 8 circles, so it's a slightly different proportionate body, but it gives me a good idea of how this sort of posture might work. So, having had a look at the possible arrangement with Saint Apollinaire in Classe, Saint Apollinaire from Classe, I now took another look and felt that the figure was too high up against the arch. Would have worked okay in a square board, but that arch made the head feel as though it was a bit too constrained. So I decided to keep that size of head circle, which you can see on here is that red circle at the top in the middle. Kept the same column of 8 of those circles, which are the black circles you can see, but I decided to move them down. Now the question was how far, where to put them, and if you notice where that red arrow is pointing to, you can see that the top of the second circle from the bottom is adjacent to that central square. So the third circle is standing on the bottom of that square, and so on as that column rises. So at first it might seem, well, this looks a bit random, but actually there is a point of intersection, which means that this column, this figure, a set of this figure will sit nicely within this geometric pattern. And here, just to reiterate, you can see that green square is where the upper circle and the bottom circle, or circles and squares, meet. So hopefully that makes that nice and clear for you if you're trying to use this as a basis for your own icons of any standing figure. It doesn't have to be just this particular one. And you can use that to define the dimensions of your kovcheg or indeed your board.